ladies in their 40s and 50s at?
You're probably wondering why I put myself in a storage cabinet. During my dad's 10-year battle with health issues, I would frequently go up to Canada to see him and to support my mom. On this particular occasion, I went up because he was in intensive care. He'd been in the ICU before and fought back, but as I was leaving the hospital to head back to Los Angeles, I burst into tears because I just knew that was probably going to be the last time I saw him alive. Then on the plane, as it was pulling away from the gate, I had my first ever panic attack. And I still sometimes suffer from panic attacks when I find myself in situations where I feel trapped. But more on that in a bit.
So, a quick disclaimer. If you're here because you saw the word panic attack in the title and you suffer from them, first, welcome fellow panic attacker. This is a non-conventional look at panic attacks, so I've put a couple of traditional resources in the description if that was more of what you were looking for. Onwards! When I was on a week-long retreat recently, it gave me the opportunity to be more present, which was probably due to being able to relax. But one of the things I realized, oh my God, everybody lies. We all lie, like way more than we think we lie. At first, I was like, no, that can't be true. But then I stumbled upon a quote from a book called Radical Honesty by Brad Blanton. And this is what it said. We all lie like hell. It wears us out. It's the major source of all human stress. Lying kills people. I was like, okay then. So digging deeper, it turns out we lie so much as a way to protect ourselves and our self-image. It's motivated by assumptions about who we think we should be and how we think we should act in order to be accepted. Personally, I have never been a fan of the word should. I think it is the nemesis of authenticity. So back to when I was on retreat. For those of you who don't know, I make my living as a commercial actress. And so I noticed that when I met people and mentioned what I did for a living, the person's interest increased. Probably because I work in an industry that's been glamorized. But the problem with glamorizing anything is it requires you to lie. Meaning it requires you to only present the best parts of that thing. As a society, we are really into only presenting our best selves, which I interpret as presenting our incomplete selves because we're hiding the parts of us that aren't that cute, which is an insult to our whole selves and makes it really hard to fully live. Life is joys and celebrations and challenges and pain. We are light and we are dark. Ups and downs, go together like a circus and clowns. This I tell ya, mother, you can't have one without the other. One of the things this time of more isolation made me realize is that I need more honesty in the world. I need the agreement to be that we are all going to be radically honest because lying works against our self-interest and feeds darkness. I would like that common saying, things are rarely what they seem, to change. I need the common saying to become, things are usually what they seem. Imagine living in that world. where you don't have to question or wonder or worry. Okay, so I have always believed that if you want a behavior from someone else, you first have to do that behavior yourself. So I thought I would shine some light on the glamorized part of my life, which is being an actress, in an attempt to deglamorize it. So when the Great Awakening happened, the way I auditioned for jobs completely changed. I used to go out to casting places, but now I was having to put myself on tape in my apartment and then upload the audition to the casting director. We call these self-tapes. This is a self-tape audition I did for an Allstate commercial. The basic concept was 2 female astronauts are on the moon and they decide to go for a little joyride in their moon rover. They wanted to do a bit of an homage to that final scene in Thelma and Louise where they go driving off the cliff holding hands. And in our case, we're like driving around, we see like a big crater and we decide we're going to go flying off of it to have some fun. I loved this commercial concept. Anytime you have the opportunity to play something that you could never do in real life, you're like, ooh, yes, me please. I really hoped to book this commercial, and I did. This is how the commercial turned out. I can't play the sound because they used a Smokey Robinson song. It looks like fun, right? Driving around with your partner next to you, joyriding. But here's the thing. I suffered through multiple panic attacks during the shooting of that commercial. We shot it in the desert. It was well over 100 degrees, and I had to wear that hot astronaut suit and that helmet. It took forever to get it on and off. Like, it was no joke. It like locked you in. So knowing that I couldn't get out of it quickly made me feel like I was trapped. And even though they gave us cooling vests and brakes, I just had a really rough day. No one ever knew that I had the panic attacks. I would just continuously talk myself down off the ledge like every time another one would hit. I probably had like 7 or 8. I'll talk a little bit more about my panic attacks in a bit, but I share this with you because, okay, imagine I post a couple of these pictures to social media with a caption like, "So much fun going to the moon and playing an astronaut on this commercial." You would see those pics and think, oh my God, what an amazing job. I would love that. It seems so glamorous. And although I love my job, and it was fun in a certain sense, it's just not the whole story. That would be lying by omission. So in Brad Blanton's book, he talks about 3 levels of telling the truth: revealing the facts, expressing feelings and thoughts, and demythologizing ourselves. So revealing the facts is about deceptions and withholds. This type of lying is the one we do in order to come across a certain way to people. It is also lying by omission. Brad says honoring the first level of telling the truth requires we reveal our long withheld secrets. That should be fun. Then we get to the second level, expressing your feelings and thoughts. And this is about admitting how you feel when you feel it. Speaking secret judgments of others out loud. Constantly revealing your own petty and condescending ways. These are Brad's words, not mine. When I read this, I thought, oh my God, this is never-ending work and flippin' hard. But here's why he says it's worth it. Agreeing to this level of truth requires the death of our false selves. Now, I acknowledge this ain't cute or easy, but the result is the rebirth of our authentic selves. The third level is demythologizing yourself. This level happens when you admit that who you are is not who you've been pretending to be. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this, so let me repeat it. The third level happens when you admit that who you are is not who you've been pretending to be. Yeah, I could ponder this level for decades. I see honesty as a superpower and something that is especially vital for middle-aged women to flourish. It gives us the opportunity to be honest about ourselves during a pivotal transition in our lives, to be honest about how we feel society treats us at this age. That's my personal feeling. And to be honest about what we want, what we dream of, what we desire. If you're feeling brave, you can try doing a first level truth telling, which is revealing the facts, maybe by sharing a long withheld secret in the comments. I like to call this embracing our ands, learning to love being great and not so great. Because I think when we share honestly with each other, that's how we build a strong and powerful community and create freedom for ourselves. As I've researched panic attacks, I learned the body is naturally designed to go into alert if it thinks there's anything potentially risky happening. And if you're already stressed, like I was when my dad was dying, then you're at higher risk for an extreme or inappropriate response to something. And then once you have a trigger, like my trigger on the plane, it can be re-triggered at any moment. And then the challenge becomes retraining the nervous system to remember that it's not actually in danger. At this point, I'm kind of fascinated by my panic attacks. It's not that I enjoy them, because I do not, but it's interesting that I didn't get a panic attack until I was in my 40s, that they're directly related to when my dad was passing away. I find it interesting the situations my panic attacks happen in. My last panic attack happened when I was at the retreat during a massage. I mean, of all places. I didn't know that they were going to be wrapping my feet in cloth and putting these warm stones along the center of my body, and the restriction of those two things set off a panic attack. I also think it's interesting that I've always managed to make it through my panic attacks without any kind of major disaster happening. I should use that when I have a panic attack to remind myself, we've been here before, you're going to make it through, everything is going to be okay, you're fine. I put myself in that closet after seeing a video about a woman who cured her claustrophobia panic attacks with exposure therapy. And that involves confronting a situation you may be afraid of one step at a time until you eventually overcome the fear.
Gonna close the doors and stay in until I open them.
So I saw her laying in a dark closet and I thought, oh, well, maybe I can try that.
I'm feeling pretty okay in here. If I focus on how small the space is, I can feel a panic attack kind of trying to come up. But I think because I know I can open the doors whenever I want, that's keeping me calm. I think for this to work as exposure therapy, I would have to have someone close the doors and agree that I cannot come out until they open the doors. Actually, there's a lock on this cabinet. If they locked it so that I knew I really could not get out until then, oh yeah. I can feel a panic attack just thinking about that. That would be exposure therapy. And then I would have to tell myself that I'm fine, that it's not scary. Oh, I remember her saying that you can't close your eyes, or they don't recommend you close your eyes because it's kind of a way of not facing what you're experiencing. So I would sit in here, someone lock that, and just be in here. And it's so weird because when I was younger, this wouldn't have bothered me at all.
I also created a little anxiety kit. I am getting ready to go on my first plane ride since the Great Awakening, so I'm assuming that I'll be nervous and the potential for a panic attack happening is higher. And so I've got a few little things in here to take care of myself. Earplugs, headphones. I have some videos that are funny.
Alan! Alan! Oh, that's not Alan. Steve, Steve!
Some that are guided breathing. Gum, a little reminder card. This says remember to breathe. Essential oil called cypress. It's like being thrust into the middle of a forest. Amethyst crystals, which are supposed to be protective and grounding. Lava rock bracelet, and so you just kind of move your finger along from one bead to the next as you repeat a mantra. I hope I don't have to use this kit, but at least I have it if I need it. And also, it's kind of just a very loving kit to have, so I'm a fan. My invitation to anyone watching this, but especially my middle-aged women, let's support and protect each other when we choose to be brave by being honest. Even if the honesty is directed at us and makes us uncomfortable or angry, what if we just try to embrace that? There's nothing so freeing as honesty. And I know it seems counterintuitive, but we are really most empowered when we allow ourselves and others to be vulnerable. If someone uses the honesty you share to shame you, as has happened to me, I just thank the universe for revealing that person's true colors so that I can reassess my relationship with them moving forward. But I don't allow it to stop me from being honest. Here's what Brad Blanton said about practicing honesty. It's scary, but it's cathartic. It breaks the mental chains that keep us trapped and in denial of what is true. And finally, truth-telling is part of the process of liberation. And that is what it's all about for us middle-aged women. Love you!
Ups and downs, go together like a circus.